Let's talk about Canada for a second. And Canadians, y'all let me know how you're feeling about your national team right now down below in the comments. Do you like what you're seeing? Are you still sour from the Gold Cup? Let me know, because in this video, I'm mainly going to say good things about the Canadian national team. In the last friendly window in September, Canada went abroad to play Romania in Bucharest, followed by a game against Wales in Cardiff City, and impressively won both of those games by an aggregate score of 4-0. Now, I'm not saying these are the biggest wins ever, and I'm not saying that there should be another Canadian holiday added to the calendar on the back of these results. What I am saying, though, is to me, as a non-Canadian, this is yet another example of Canada's national team taking a step forward. It might not be 5 steps forward, but it was a step, and I think that is important when you look at some of the other teams, mainly Canada's competition inside CONCACAF. Outside of Mexico under Javier Aguirre, can you really say that any other powerhouse in CONCACAF is taking steps forward recently? When I say recently, I'm going back the last 12 months. Costa Rica are dealing with a defensive crisis. They have lost their identity. They're letting Haiti score 3 goals on them in a qualifier in San Jose. Panama is still a team full of Coco Carrasquilla plus a bunch of stormtroopers. The U.S. men's national team is still experiencing a civil war where half the fan base hates Pochettino, and Pochettino has, I would say, the most questionable squad selection in the entire world of football. Is really only Mexico that you could say, yes, they've gotten better. I think outside of the powerhouses, you would have to look at a team like Suriname and say that they've taken a step forward. I would say Guatemala have improved in the last year. There are other smaller CONCACAF teams, kind of tier 2, tier 3 teams that have improved. But outside of Mexico, Canada's the only big dog who's really done so. And I'm going to reiterate a point that I made in other videos. The Canadian FA are making the right decisions. They are taking the necessary steps to improve the national team. I think they got it right with the hiring of Jesse Marsch. I know some Canadians still are upset about the Gold Cup, but, speaking of the Gold Cup, I think Canada clearly made it a priority, which is important. They did not turn their nose up at it like the U.S. men's national team did. And then you see the preparation for the World Cup in the form of friendlies, and how could you not be satisfied with this schedule? It's a mixture of tough European away days and really good level of competition at home. Since Jesse Marsch was appointed, Canada have had 4 friendlies against European teams on European soil. They've gotten 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. That's not bad. And then in addition to that, you got games against the African champions in Ukraine at home. These are great games. And you know what? It probably would have been impossible for Canada to secure this level of friendlies 10 years ago. It's another sign of how far this national team has come. And I don't think you can look at Canada's resume and say that these results were a fluke. We're going to do a quick exercise. I looked at significant wins, or what I would classify as nice wins, from both Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. men's national team just since 2024. The nice wins I have for Canada: Peru, Venezuela on penalties, U.S. men's national team twice, Ukraine, Panama, Romania, and the Wales game, although that was heavily rotated, I'm going to put an asterisk on that one. For the U.S. men's national team, nice wins since 2024, Mexico, Panama, and Japan most recently also entirely rotated, so an asterisk on that one too. And then Mexico, you have Panama twice, U.S. men's national team twice. The Gold Cup, though, I'm going to put an asterisk because of the squad, Canada, and Turkey. If we remove the results against heavily rotated teams, that means that Canada loses the Wales victory, U.S. men's national team loses Japan's victory, and Mexico loses the Gold Cup final. That would mean that Canada have 7 impressive wins since 2024. The U.S. men's national team have 2, and Mexico have 4. If you want to debate the Venezuela one because it was on penalties, fine, deduct that one too. Canada still have 6. They still have the most of the teams in CONCACAF. And that's a phenomenal resume for Canada. So what's missing? It's a motherfucking trophy. That is literally the only thing Canada is missing. And I'm not breaking any news here. Everybody knows this. Canadians already consider themselves to have a great team. I'm sure most of you do. But the rest of CONCACAF, the rest of the world, what everybody's really waiting on is just lifting a piece of silverware. This is why the Gold Cup was so destructive, because it was another opportunity. It was another tournament where Canada probably weren't the favorite, but were the second favorite to win. I would say Canada were the favorite at the Nations League, which they also didn't win. The trophy means so much to this team. Now, unfortunately for Canada, what's the next trophy that they can win? It's the World Cup. So let's be honest, that's not going to happen. So the best alternative for Canada, the true next step that this team can take, if they're a Pokemon, you know, reaching that third final evolution, because they're definitely on the second evolution, I don't care what anybody says, would be a deep run at the World Cup. I think that type of achievement would change the narrative around the Canadian national team, which I think the narrative is they're a good team. I would have them as the second best team in CONCACAF, but a team that so far honestly hasn't really shown that they can perform under pressure. That's been the biggest difference between Canada and Mexico. Canada are more talented than Mexico right now. I will admit that fully. Is Canada more talented than the United States? I don't think they have the depth of the United States, but I think band for band, the starting 11 versus starting 11, it's pretty freaking close. I did a CONCACAF player power rankings video a month or so back, and I had 3 Canadians in the top 10. The only team with more players in my top 10 was the U.S. men's national team. So you got a great group of players, a strong starting 11. You do have some guys off the bench who do provide depth. It's just not as deep as the U.S. pool. That's my main argument. You got a manager in Jesse Marsch who, maybe most importantly of all, he gives a damn, right? Maybe most importantly of all, he cares. He actually wants to win. Maybe that's fueled by his, Anakin-like hatred of the U.S. men's national team and U.S. soccer for not hiring him. Who cares? Is that really an issue? Let him channel the dark side as much as he wants. If he lifts a trophy with Canada, no one's going to care. And you have recent results, both at the Copa America, but also in friendlies, also smacking the U.S. at the Nations League. Enough results to suggest the time is now. And the time is now for Canada, with a World Cup being hosted at home just around the corner. But like I said, the one crux of this team so far is when the pressure has been turned on, they seem to shrink. And I'm going to chalk that up mainly due to a lack of experience. If there's an advantage that Mexico and the USA have, it's that they have become calloused. They are used to the weight of expectation. Canada is not yet. The good news for Canada is they do have time to figure it out, because this is a very young team. I would like to see Jesse Marsch stick around for the next round of the Nations League, ideally for the next Copa America as well, and that would be, to me, a more complete cycle, and we could really see how his tenure stacked up against John Herdman, and really, was it a success or was it a failure? It's too early to say. So I guess I just wanted to make a quick video mainly putting praise on Canada. I love the development of this team. I want to see Canada get better and better as the years go on, because I think it's best for CONCACAF. And Canada kind of is CONCACAF's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? The help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. You are the only hope of the region, the best hope of the region to steal a trophy from Mexico and the United States. And I think the more parity there is, the more this region will be taken seriously. It's a win-win for everyone. And Canada have some awesome fixtures in the next window. Australia and Colombia, 2 more absolute banger friendlies for this team to play. I'm going to try my very, very best to do a live watch-along for at least one of those games. And I'm kind of looking at the Australia game just because I am an Asian football simp. So that is a bit more interesting to me. But if I cannot do that, Colombia, I'm still very bullish on this team. I think if Canada can get something in either of these games, that would be epic. I think October is going to be a much more difficult window than September, mainly due to circumstance of the European teams still having to juggle World Cup qualification. Australia's in, Colombia's in. I think they're going to take this pretty seriously. So I'm very excited about that. I will drop a preview video for that as well, because I do watch these teams, Australia and Colombia, quite a bit, so I can give you guys some good insight there. If you don't want to miss that, make sure you're subscribed, smash the like button if you enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts on Canada down below in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.